Hello, homies, and a very warm welcome to Homeopathy Hangouts. Today, we have a really special guest, Dr. Jurg on the show. Welcome to the show, George.
Thank you for having me.
It's such a pleasure. I always feel like such a fangirl when I get to have people on the show like you, who I have done hours of your lectures through Whole Health Now. And I think it was was it like 3 years ago when you first did that course? It feels like it was quite a while ago that I did that course.
I
So,
think we began 3 years ago.
yeah, that feels
The
about right.
first series was about pediatrics,
That's right.
and I guess it was the longest one with 15 modules, every module of 3 sessions, 4 hour session. That's a lot of fun. And then I made geriatrics, 6 modules as well.
Amazing. And I think, have you got some more things up your sleeve as well with Whole Health Now? Are you going to do some more courses?
You know, I would like to make them.
Amazing.
I would like to make more about visual homeopathy, which I think it's my domain. But let's see. For now, what is almost sure is that in this fall, I will make a course about biology.
Bowel nose oats?
Yeah,
Oh,
Bach patterns.
amazing. 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 I didn't know that. Okay. Let's start from the beginning because I'm putting the cart in front of the horse right now because I always like to start the show by asking my guests how they were first introduced to homeopathy. Can you tell our listeners that story?
Yes, for sure. When I was a student in the fourth year of university, I discovered it was an office, a small office with two doctors. I have no words to praise them for their teaching and for their obligation. And okay, they accept me as a pupil there, a kind of pupil, you know. After 6 months, I was permitted to put out the needle, and wow, for me, it was such an amazing thing. So the idea is that being in the fourth year of university, I made both traditional medicine, Chinese traditional medicine, and conventional medicine at a time. From the beginning, my mind was with both domains, with both kinds of medicine. And I practiced acupuncture for a while, like 10 years. And then in 90, I discovered homeopathy. First, I read a book of Ken. Then I made a course of anthroposophical medicine, and they speak about potentized remedies. Okay. And when I start reading about homeopathy, for me, it was okay, this is something which is so familiar. And from the beginning, I felt extremely confident. So that's the story.
Oh, now you in Romania, right?
Yes.
Okay, amazing. And what's the homeopathy scene like over there? Are there many homeopaths over there, or is it easy to practice? Can you find the remedies easy, or what's it like?
Yeah, everything is easy. Because I made the official courses up to 93, 1993, and I started practicing immediately. I had the chance to be friend and disciple and, okay, subordinate of Professor Bunjeceanu, who led the Romanian Journal of Homeopathy. And I was his adjoint, lieutenant, you know. So I was the second in the editing board. In fact, we were all the board was
Co-editor.
all it took,
Okay.
me, him and me. But I had the chance to work with him for 10 years. And believe me, it was a heroic time because we didn't live in the same town, and we had to go to travel a night with the train just to finish the new issue. It was fun. And,
Wow.
but that was very, because meanwhile, we had to review the journal and we start studying by ourselves. And the result of our study is Materia Medica, which I wrote with him in 97. Yeah.
Wow. So you'd only recently graduated, really, when you had this amazing opportunity.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to study music. And that was amazing. And in that time, in Romania wasn't as it was in some Eastern country, communist country. Homeopathy was accepted. And one of the reasons it was accepted is that my professor was an exceptional doctor. And he had to treat some people in the hierarchy, in the communist hierarchy. So he made a lobby, he made an indirect lobby for homeopathy by his result.
Wow.
So,
That's so brilliant. I actually think there are quite a lot of people around the world that are high up that get treated by homeopaths, but they don't always speak up about it. So I know there's a homeopath that recently mentioned that he has treated Bobby Kennedy, but he's obviously not allowed to speak publicly about it. So I know there's a few people high up that use homeopathy. I just wish that more of them would come up and actually talk about it, which would be really good. But what a incredible experience for you. Were there many other homeopaths that graduated alongside with you? Are there many homeopathic colleges over there? I'm always intrigued to know what homeopathy looks like in other countries. Can you just walk into a pharmacy and buy a remedy? What's it like over there?
okay, I will try to tell you the story. The first official course of homeopathy in Romania was in 1984. And it was during the communist time. And they chose only few doctors who made the course. After 90, the course was under the Ministry of Health, Romanian Ministry of Health. So my diploma, it's like a absolutely official diploma. And okay, when I start homeopathy, in Timișoara was only me and a colleague of mine, and no pharmacy. Okay, I start in Timișoara, and I went to the first pharmacy, to the closest pharmacy. And I said, I'm doing homeopathy. What do you think about bringing some bread? And she said, okay, make me. And when I make the first, she said, oh no, it's impossible. I will be bankrupt with 200 remedies. It's impossible. No, select just a short list. Okay. And I remember I made a short list of 25 or 30 remedies. And then she saw that all my patients came to her. She started improving the quality of homeopathic pharmacy, and even she mixed something there. So when I began, were only two. Now in Timișoara, I think there are 50 homeopaths.
Oh, that is such a cool story. And so she was a conventional pharmacist and you got her to bring homeopathic remedies in.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly,
wow.
exactly. Then she was the first. Now I think there are 6 pharmacies who sell homeopathic remedies. Okay, some of them not very powerful, but they sell. And there are 50 of them, 50. Most of them are my students or Jurg students or the students of the Romanian course.
Oh, that
So
is
I think
very cool.
it's really something. I think it's a powerful movement because last time we had the Congress in Timișoara and we had 350 participants, which is not bad for a small country, for a country like Romania.
That is really brilliant. It must have been really nice having everyone together there. Is it something that they have
Right.
every year or every couple of years or?
Every 2 or 3 years. We didn't have it because it was the pandemic, but every 2 years.
Wow, what an opportunity to go to a homeopathic conference in Romania. That's not every day you get an opportunity to do that. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, the good thing is that, okay, I was for a while, was some years, 7 years, I was the president of an association, Romanian Association in Clinical Homeopathy. And it doesn't matter. I'm still there, but I'm not I don't have any executive job,
Position.
yeah, position. But the fact is that, okay, we made course. The courses were accredited by the Minister of Health. And I think after some years, people told me, okay, we graduate, we finish the course. And what's next? So in 2017, we began a master in homeopathy for 3 years with 40 people like that. And most of them finished. It was tough. It was tough because it was every month, it was a meeting and 12 hours teaching and discussion cases. But to have a master of homeopathy, it looks very nice.
Mm. And it's probably a bit easier to do the training via Zoom. You don't have to go on an overnight train anymore to meet up in person.
In that time, we traveled every month. In that
Wow.
time, it was not on Zoom. It was a real master with live presence.
Oh, wow. Okay. So it was all in person.
Yeah, it was
Oh,
difficult
wow.
for every,
Oh,
it was difficult
for
for
3
everybody.
years, that is a big commitment.
Yeah. We had 8 or 9 courses, weekend courses per year, and that's it.
Mm.
But it was nice. I like it. And I think this is the level which is missing in homeopathy, not the basic level, because we have a lot of schools in homeopathy. And I think the basic level is for sure. It's okay. After the people go into the cage of lions, they see things are not so easy as they thought at the beginning. Bruises, arnica. It does not work like that. And therefore, I think one of the issues of the homeopathic training is the postgraduate level. And this is something like that I try to do with this courses in it's called now.
I am really glad that you've brought that up because I think that is very valid. Once I finished my 4 years of training, I didn't quite realize that there were some options for professional development. So for a couple of years there, I was left to my own devices and just kind of did my own thing. And you're right, that reality hit me of, oh no, this perfect silica case isn't just going to walk into the clinic, or the perfect Nux bomber case not going to walk like that. It's going to look messy. And then the other thing is as well, the follow-ups. What happens when you write prescription? You spend 5 hours doing that prescription, it doesn't work. And so once you actually get into the trenches and you're in the clinic, it can be a really big shock. But then I discovered that there are places that I can go do professional development. So I used to be part of Zomeo and Trinity Health Hub and Whole Health Now, Naturopathic CE, and more recently, the last 5 years, I've been with the Center for Homeopathic Education, done a lot of courses through them. And it wasn't until I really invested in my professional development that my clinical results really improved. But I think if there's more postgraduate programs where you are committing for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, really getting your level up, I do think that is very important. And it would be good to see more of those programs out there because you're right, there's so many homeopathic colleges. And I know of at least 3 new colleges that have started just this year. So lots of colleges, but it would be good to see homeopaths really investing in post-grad studies. So I'm really glad that you've brought that up.
Yeah, the main problem is at the end of the consultation, the basic course teach you how to take a case, how to make a good consultation. But when you are in the office, the problem is the differential diagnosis. And in the beginning, the differential diagnosis is not made. They are just presentation of the remedy. It's some ideas of differential diagnosis, but the differential diagnosis, it's not for a remedy. Is phosphorus or silicon, or it's arsenicum or arsenic, it's aurum or aurum, it's sepia or natrium. This is things you have to see cases and to see on what the differential diagnosis is based. Because during the graduation, the first level of courses, more or less, every remedy is a focused bed. You cut the reality so the patient enters in a bed, like in the Procust, the mythological Procust.
No.
Oh, it's a Greek legend about a guy who cut the hand and the legs of person because they don't enter in that bed.
Okay.
Okay, at the beginning, you are forced to push the reality into a narrow frame. But in reality, it's not like that. Then another thing people don't insist too much. It's about posology. When do you use small, medium, or hyper? How often?
Yeah.
What do you do if you have an aggravation, if it is good or not? These are things that people have to discuss professionally. I have a good example because I have 12 grandsons and granddaughters, and I teach them, I learn them swimming. At the beginning, it's a huge realization just to learn to swim. But to learn to swim does not mean that you are a professional swimmer or you can go to a competition. And I think homeopaths in the office are obliged to be professional because with every patient, you are obliged to be in a race not with others, but with yourself and with the patient disease. It's a competition in between your capacities and the needs of patients.
Yeah.
And yeah, and it's a challenge. Every patient is a challenge. For these, a certain professional level have to be.
And I sometimes feel it's just a matter of repetition as well. Like I didn't become really confident in prescribing until I started seeing like 25 patients a week or 30 patients a week and one after the other. And that's, I think sometimes like there's no shortcut with homeopathy, right? You just have to do the reps and you just have to see lots of people and you make mistakes and you learn. And our clients really are our biggest teachers. It's really amazing. But there are some things that we can do to make life a lot easier. And that is learning from professionals like you who have done a lot of the groundwork and who make life easier for us. And you have this PhD in something called semiotics. Can you tell people what is semiotics and how you were able to blend that with homeopathy?
For semiotics, literally means the science of science. I made my PhD on Charles Sanders, who is the founder of American English-speaking semiotics. That's a line of semiotics. The other line is coming from linguistic, which Ferdinand de Saussure. But the whole idea, why I made this PhD, because I already started studying science in homeopathy, not only science, physical science, auditive science. And I felt I'm not good enough in what is science itself. And so I made this PhD. It was fantastic. I like it so much, and I'm still impregnated by it. And I think the basic principle of semiotics can be applied in homeopathy. And one of my projects, my personal projects, is to bring in the homeopathic teaching or world the notion of visual homeopathy and of non-verbal homeopathy. There are studies who show that in a discourse, in a presentation, the visual part is much more important than the words. In homeopathy, we basically use only words from the patients. They describe everything we want or we ask, words in the repertory, words in the material. As I told you, I begin with acupuncture. In acupuncture, from the beginning, you have a whole semiology or semiotics of tongue, of pulses. And I started homeopathy. And my question was, okay, what I will do with what I learned in acupuncture? Why not? The dry skin is not as important as I don't know what's a trauma when he was a child. It can be a sign, definitely, for making the differential diagnosis between silica and phosphor. So that's semiotics. Semiotics is the science of science, and I'm using it a lot for non-verbal homeopathy.
That is so cool. And I know you make a joke and you say you're a little bit lazy and you don't like to write notes. And that's why you record all of your interviews or all of your consultations, which I'm so glad about because that is the best way to learn is if you can see a master homeopath taking a case. And I love how when in these cases that they show in Whole Health now, how you haven't got a computer anywhere in sight. You're just sitting there and you can see that you are acutely observing this child. And I love how you do little challenges, like you'll take their hat or you'll do something to see how they respond. And the first time I'm like, oh my goodness, I would feel too bad to take the child's hat. But obviously you're doing that to see how are they responding. Are they going to hide behind the mum? Are they going to snatch it out of your hand? Are they going to yell at you? And those visual cues are so differentiating in themselves, right? Because phosphorus child might go grab the hat and a calcarb child might go hide behind the mum or something like that. So the way in which you are so acutely using your senses to observe the person, I think that is something that is lacking in homeopathy. Obviously, we are using all our senses when we are taking a case, but you're right, we do focus more on the words. What words are people using? But why shouldn't a physical sign have just as much value as a word that a person is using? So I love that you're bringing this in. And some,
Yeah, just one single thing. I'm not focusing on physical side because gesture, attitudes, behavior are not physical. They express
Yes.
mental attitude.
You're right. Like
Mm,
posture, is somebody slouching in a chair or are they
yeah,
sitting? You're right. So it's not physical, it's actually
a mental attitude.
mental attitude. That is a great expression because somebody who hasn't got good confidence is going to walk into your clinic with slumped shoulders. And somebody is very, you get some children, they just walk into your clinic like a whirlwind and they throw everything off your desk and throw toys around. So you're right. It's like an expression of a mental attitude. But tell us a little bit more about that. What sort of things do you look out for? Like when you see a child in a clinic and you have mostly pediatric practice?
Okay, I have maybe half pediatrics now because I want it. I have 30% of elder people, and the rest is normal people.
Everyone else.
The idea is that you said something which I think is very important. I'm not writing and I'm not using computer during consult because when you do the non-verbal consultation, you have to be aware and you have to catch every second of patient attitude or gesture or something. I remember, for example, my first case was, wow, I know the remedy. I remember a case, a lady, maybe she was 30 something, and we spoke about her complaints, and she said, everything began when my father died. And that's all. That's 1 second of the consultation, and you have to be there. And for sure, it was Indonesia, but
Yeah, that
you have to be there. And with the kids, how do you know if they are generous or not? Because sometimes mother have misconception about their
yes.
about their
About their
kids.
golden child.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's-
We are all biased with our children. Our children are all perfect.
yes, some of mothers are completely amazed when I'm saying, okay, he is or she is my patient. Please keep it quiet. Keep it quiet. And we discussed about dogs, about cats, about the puppies, things like that. Very important things at that age, right? And I'm playing with the pencil. I give them the pencil and then take it out because I want to see their reaction. How do you know if he is generous or not? How do you know if he is an arsenicum or a caustic? By modalities, sometimes babies has no modality or little children has no modality. Yeah. But the atmosphere, you can feel. For example, if a guy like my friend Thomas is coming to me and every time with a bonbon for me, I would not go in a shade. For sure, I'm thinking to phosphorus, to causticum, mercurinum, things like that. Every time he does the same. Or
Oh,
at the first or second meeting, a guy or a girl comes direct. I told her, please come to me. And she came to me and hugged me.
oh,
That's something that Lycopodium will ever. They will not do that. Barita will not do that. But Pulsatilla, yes. And you have the differential diagnosis between Barita and Pulsatilla. And you know how it takes 1 second. But in that second, you have to be present there with the child. Mothers came with papers and papers of analysis. I don't need that. In fact, sometimes for allergies, for intolerances, yes, but I don't need that. I need a part of the consultation is the contact with my patient. The same is with elder people because they are so charged with pathologies. Many of them are charged with pathologies and are overcharged with medication, with allopathic medication. Okay, in the week before the last week, a lady came to me, 80, and she said, okay, I asked, how are you? I'm better, much better. And in fact, I'm happy for some because you told me to stop, to keep only two medications. She was operated for thyroid and I could not stop it. And she had diabetes. I could not stop it. And for the rest, I said, let's make a break. We make a break. And at the beginning, she made a little bit of aggravation, but then she was so happy. She had only few drops from homeopathic remedies, and she was so happy with that. And the elder people also express a lot of nonverbal, because that's a lot of pathology. And I don't know if you watched the last webinar.
I haven't watched the very last ones.
The last module was about dermatology. Okay, I like dermatology. And I mean by homeopathic dermatology, all what the skin can bring. Not only signs of psoriasis or lichens, of diagnosis, but also type of skin. And I spoke about something which maybe will be strange, but it's all about the non-verbal homeopathy. I spoke about skin. Voi vorbi acum un pic în românește și sunt convinsă că nu înțelegi nimic.
You lost me there.
I like you. Yeah. Okay, sometimes seeing posture, all the information from visual, we see, but we don't know the language. We don't understand the language of the skin. And I name this language of the skin, skin. Yeah, skin. So, and as every language, this language have to be learned, Homeopaths, sometimes I saw are disappointed because I'm not speaking so much about anxieties and depression. I speak about a little bit about modalities, occasion, things like that, but I'm speaking much more about what we can see. But this is a discipline which should be learned, should be taught in all, I think, in my opinion, in all homeopathic schools, because it is skin, it is non-verbal.
So do you mean
And
what, can you tell us a bit more about that? Just
Yeah,
tell us more about that. You've got me
yeah.
intrigued.
Okay, yeah. In every language, you have the basic units. Yeah, these are the words. Okay, in Skinnish, you have the elementary and secondary lesion. Papule, macule, things like that. These are the words. These are the units of the language. The units of the language mean something. Every one means something, but they are interconnected. The elements are interconnected in a syntactic. Mother and father. Mother is one word, father is the other one. And this end is the connection between the two. Mother and father, that's fact. You have the syntactic, you have the semantic of the word, of the units. You have the syntactic, the way they are connected. And then you have the pragmatic, how you use, how the body uses these signs to express something. Because all these signs are expressing something. And you saw me, many times I'm taking my magnifying glass and I go closer to a lesion because I want to understand what the body is expressing, not only as disease, but the expression of the inner movement of energy, of blood, of whatever, expressed in the physical side.
So do you mean something like a boil they call little pockets of anger, or like that sort of expression? Or if it's dry, scaly skin, then it means something. And then when you say father and mother, do you mean if it's the left side of the body or the right side of the body?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not going too far. And I will tell you, in Skinnish and in non-verbal homeopathy, there are more levels. The first level is a very homeopathic level. It's factuality. Fact. So the first level is to describe exactly what do you see. And for describing what do you see a position, you have to make some actions to see that the actions are convergent or divergent, to see if the position is closed or open. Yeah. If it is asymmetric or symmetric, you have to describe factually. And this is something nobody learns us, but in repertoire you have a lot of factual describing of songs, for example, yeah, or names or king. You have them. So that's the first level. And the second level, I think, is to review. This is analysis. And then the second part is to put all this information together, the description, and to see what is the most peculiar feature of this thing I saw. What is the smile of Gioconda? Okay, you can describe Gioconda, a lady with a hand like that, with a veil. In the back, you have one road, and the other road, nobody knows that. Okay, but you describe, that's the first level. The second one is to see what is the most important thing, how they are correct, why it is a bridge on one side and on the other side it's a wood. The danger at the beginning when trying to see pain, to make non-visual, is to be biased by impressions. This boy looks so kind, serious. How do you check it? He is shy. No, he is a problem at home. And so when you challenge, you see a little bit of his character, personality. So one of the danger is impression. Yeah. My impression is that. No, your impression must come after you make the analysis, as you do in normal. And for this, you have to learn the language, the syntactic part, and the pragmatic.
Holy moly, that's a lot. That's a lot.
It's not so
Do
complicated. It takes 1 second. The difference is that an analysis described in words may take 10 minutes. But in the office, you will need only one
yeah.
second to see.
Yeah. Once you
And by
get
the
it.
way, yeah, you said about something which I consider the most important part of homeopathy. And this is the advice I am giving to all my students and to all homeopaths. See a lot of people. I used to see 40 patients a day. Now I'm seeing 25, 30 patients a day.
Wow.
A day. Yeah. And this is very important because you don't have time to lose your time. Those who pretend perfect accuracy, they fail as much as we fail. So the idea is to learn by practicing. I learned so much homeopathy, and especially the visual part. I learned so much from my patient, so that in this moment, maybe I can, in 5 minutes, I can make the differential between the face of Bryonia and the face of China, and the face of sepia and natrium muriatic, and the face of aurum, and the face of sulfur, and the face of sprumbum, and the face of calcarea, whatever. These are things you learn, and you learn just by practice. For example, in a pediatric consultation, you saw me often touching the hand. Why I'm touching? Because hands express a lot about the energy of the patient. Hands can be cold and dry, cold and wet, warm and dry, can be spastic, can be tendinous, can be soft, tender. They can be very relaxed, sulfur, or a sulfur guy you can recognize by hands. Or they can be very, very minute suggestions, very exact suggestions, like in our saying. All these things you learn by practicing. And at the end, okay, I don't know if it is a silica or natrium muriatic. You touch the hands and you have the hands of natrium muriatic. This is so radical sometimes.
So incredible. I always wonder how homeopaths can see 25 or 40 people a day. I don't understand how you can do that. But I guess it's a different, maybe is it more like an acute prescribing? Because I couldn't do a follow-up for a client in under half an hour. I probably could, but that's not how we get trained. So
In the follow-up, things are easy,
mm,
I think. My follow-ups are, how are you? Are you better or not? Yes, I'm better. How much with your headache? 50%. How much with yours? 20%. Things like that. And then you decide. And something else about the visual. Visual and fast can bring something new, can bring the idea of roots. You remember during the courses, I spoke a lot about not only the remedy, but the root, the sulfur, the phosphoric. root, the silica. And then that root can be combined with modality or pathologies of another root. And you have Calcarea sulfurica, Calcarea phosphorica, or you can have sulfur rhodatum, or even, as I have few cases, sulfur arsenicos, if exists something like that, and I have cases of it. Because you feel, okay, there is a sulfur there, but it's not the attitude of sulfur. Okay, but the kid, for example, have adenoids, is snoring, yeah, and instead of being very open and very sulfur type, he is shy in some aspects. So Barita sulfurica, for example, is one of the remedy I prescribe maybe every day. Or Barita in general. I don't prescribe only Barita carbon. I prescribe 10 types of different.
That's really great. That makes a lot of sense. I love Barita as well. And when you just add like a Barita myrrh or Barita sil or Barita sulf, it's nice that you can add a little bit more of that personality in alongside the typical Barita. So I do love prescribing that way, especially for children as well, because I'll get a feeling they're not quite calc and they're not quite, and I'll get them calc sil. It's wonderful. A little bit calc, a little bit phos, give the calc phos. It's really wonderful that we can do that with homeopathy where we can mix and match and
Yeah,
works
I'll give
great.
you a very simple example. Phosphorus type of children. You know phosphorus.
Mhm.
Okay. But in the last year, he grew a lot, every month, essentially. And now he's complaining of pain in the feet. I think it's normal to prescribe calcareosis or apatite, as I do. It's normal because we take into consideration types as things that do not move. But in fact, especially in children and also in elderly patients and humans are evolving. There are crises of development, the crisis of the kindergarten,
Mm.
yeah, for example, yes, or the school crisis, or the first love crisis. These are existential crises that can provoke unbalances, and we can see them. The others don't care about.
Mm. And I really love that you are going to be teaching about bowel nerve zones as well, because that is an area of homeopathy that has really revolutionized my practice. I use a lot of bowel nerve zones. What got you interested in that? And have you got any favorites that you like to use? And do you prescribe that based on, uh, based on what the person looks like and the expression of their mental state? Because I do know that some of the bowel noses, for example, Morgan Bach is related to sulfur, for example. So would you look at somebody and go, okay, that's a sulfur, and then give them Morgan Bach? Is that how you would do it? Or tell me about your approach.
First time I read about Bauer, so 30 years ago. And I have to confess that I read them at least the original Bach and Patterson writings. I read them at least 3 times, 4 times in my life. And after each reading, I was confused. I cannot understand them. I don't understand. And with Bauer, it's really something of post graduation. You cannot use them. You cannot even learn them if you don't know the basic remedy. For example, for Morgan, you have a configuration of remedy around these bowel muscles. For example, you have sulfur, calcarea, graphites, petroleum, and you have to know the symptoms of each remedy and to see the case overlapping 2 or 3 remedies. If you look in the materia medica and mostly in the repertory of bowel muscle, that's a disaster, sure. But you will see you will see that some symptoms of more, some of them are of graphites, some of them are of petroleum, some of them are of sulfur. So bowel muscles teaching, learning starts when you know the basic polygraph. That's one point. The other point is bowel muscles could be correlated with a deeper understanding of microbiota or microbiome. And to understand that Bach was much more of this modern discussion about microbiota in the 1920s. He began making the correlation between the intestinal flora and the general unbalance in the body. And nowadays, I don't know what's the situation in Rio, but nowadays there are few patients who come without a lot of antibiotics, a lot of drugs, a lot of supplements, a lot of everything that can influence the microbiome. So these are the main things about it. So that to know the configuration of remedies, okay, and to know something a little bit about the microbiome.
Have you got a favorite way of how you prescribe them? I know Hilary Dorian in her bowel nosos lecture, she will prescribe a 30C daily for 21 days because
Yeah.
often that takes how long? The microflora will
Yeah.
replenish
Well,
itself.
in general, as you saw, I'm prescribing all potencies always possible. I made a course once. Maybe I will make a Hold Him Now course, a short course about way of prescribing. Yeah. I discover to myself at least 12 categories of prescribing, beginning with P potencies
Hmm.
or X potencies, then LM, then very high, very low, things like that. Okay. I'm prescribing bowel nosodes in thirds because I have 30 in pharmacy. And because now the pharmacy I'm working is very professional, in my opinion. Okay, we have a 30 CH as a kind of mother tincture. And for the patient, they prepare 31. So my prescription is very strange. It's Gärtner 31. And I'm adapting. I'm trying to adapt the posology to the needs of the patient.
Mm.
Sometimes it's if a case is blocked, okay, I just prescribe once, 3 days, 4 days, and then sometimes I have to prescribe two for 2 weeks. For example, after an acute illness, when they use 2 or 3 kinds of antibiotics for a stupid thing, because the body does not respond to that, I can begin with bowel nosode 30 every day.
Mm.
Yeah, before this is the case when I use bowel nosode before the constitutional. But in general, bowel nosodes are in our strategic reserve, right?
Mm.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And I think it's very, very homeopathic to know. So, in time, I discovered that they are not so complicated as they look to me.
No, they're not. It actually, I was same as you. I read a couple of bowel nosode books. We did learn a bit about it at college when I was training, but I didn't really know what to do with them. And it wasn't until I did Hilary Dorian's bowel nosode course through CHE that I really got it. And her course is called Transforming Your Practice with Bowel Nosodes. And I have to say, I think I did that in 2019. That was one of the biggest game changers for me. And then she did another lecture on endocrine sarcos. And that was the next kind of like level up for me that made such a big difference. But in my liberal use of bowel nosodes over the last few years, I discovered a little trick myself, which I have verified over and over in clinic with the bowel nosode psycho. And I would often treat these mums with lots of thrush, candida during pregnancy. And every time they would email me like a week or two and then say, Eugenie, my newborn baby is so congested. They sound like little pugs, but real snuffliness. And psycho is a really good remedy for congestion and excessive mucus and things like that. And so I started giving these babies psycho when the mum had a history of thrush in pregnancy. And in every single case, it cleared the newborn baby's congestion. And
Yeah, that's
it is
amazing.
just so cool. I don't know if I've mentioned that on the podcast before, but that is like a little clinical pearl that works every single time like a charm. So if you have a mum who had a big history of candida or thrush during pregnancy, she has a baby that's super congested, these mums will say this baby was born congested. They came out and they were snuffly, and you give them psycho bowel nosodes, sometimes daily for a month or so. But it usually works pretty fast. You don't often need to give it that long. Give the remedy daily until the congestion goes, and then the baby doesn't suffer from that again. It's so
Because
cool.
it's a kind of inborn psychosis. And, before using psychotic or psych, before that, I used to give Tuya or
Mm.
Medraium, but they are too strong, too big for that. In fact, you are treating an inborn tendency or contagion during the pregnancy. That's a good point. I like it.
And the baby is picking up the mum's bowel flora as they are born. So I also feel it's like a double win because you get to help this baby's gut flora well established right from the beginning by using this bowel nosode. So I really like
That's
it.
very important because that's the beginning of the immunological imbalance. Yeah,
Absolutely.
great tip. Thank you.
Yay. Can you please tell our listeners about your book as well, the Homeopathic Album? When was it released and how can we purchase it and what will they learn in that?
Okay, I worked for 2 years before this war between Ukraine and Russia. I worked for 2 years with a good friend of mine, Emil, who is living in Crimea. Okay, she is a Russian-speaking Tatar, an amazing guy and very talented. And the story is like that. After a course, I teach a lot of courses in Ukraine for 15 years, something like that. Okay. And after one course, a bold guy came to me, young, with some drawing. And he showed me, I remember it was Digitalis. And she showed to me, look, I did this while you were speaking. And I said, wow, not bad. Can you do more? Yes, I can do every remedy you want. And so we started working 140 remedies. We started working, him with drawings, me with picture and explanation, and with a very short text. And text is basically sine qua non. It's basically what we have to know about that remedy. And I think that his drawing and the combination with photos and the arrows and all these visual tricks help you to understand much better and much faster some remedies. Not only the big one, everybody knows about sulfur, but to make the differential diagnosis between Kalium muriaticum, Kalium bichromicum, Kalium rodatum, and even the pages, even the color.
Have you got a copy of the book there with you? Can you hold it up just for our listeners on listening on Rumble?
It's an electronic.
Oh, you got the okay. I thought there was the option for a physical book as well. Is it only electronic?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. It's
okay,
only
gotcha.
electronic.
Uh,
Yeah, because it has 1,000 pages.
oh,
And
okay.
okay. And the good thing is, for example, let's say we begin with sulfur, with acidum sulfuric. Yeah, sulfur acid.
It's a ferric
Yeah.
acid, yeah.
Yeah. And in the first picture is a guy drink. And then in the second one, the drink start burning in the stomach and burning in the body. In the third one appear some ulcers. And in the fourth one, it's like a cartoon. And one picture after the other is showing the evolution of things. So I think it's nice. And we had a lot of fun of doing it. In the same time, we try to illustrate small remedies like sarsaparilla or terebinthine or parelli or other by giving an image of them. Many small remedies have a connection, direct connection with some pathology. Okay, this connection does not exclude the possibility of covering the totality of a case. But as they have this connection, for example, terebinthina with hematuria, with hematuria or bleeding urine.
Mhm.
Yes.
Blood and urine, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So if you know this image,
Mm,
I think they can help you to learn it faster.
mm.
It was very fun. And I think it's a fun book, not in the sense of caricature. We try to avoid caricature, but
Okay.
we try to illustrate by picture, by visual means to illustrate ideas.
Oh, now I'm really intrigued. I'm annoyed at myself now that I didn't purchase it before our interview because you did send me the link and I have just been so flat
Oh,
out the last couple of weeks. I haven't
oh,
purchased a copy yet, but I'm going to now because I'm really intrigued to see what you mean.
okay.
and
Let
and
me show you a little bit. Yeah, a little bit
oh,
of
good.
the.
Let me change it so that you can share screen if you want to.
Yeah. Okay.
You should be able to share screen now.
Okay. Okay.
And just for our listeners, I'll just pipe in here. Make sure you go listen on Rumble.
Okay.
Don't go on YouTube
That,
because YouTube
yeah.
has blocked me.
Okay.
They give
Can you
me a
see my
strike.
screen now?
I can see
Yes.
it. Yeah,
Okay.
great.
Okay. This is the thing.
Indeed.
And it looks like that.
Okay.
Look,
Ah.
yeah,
Oh,
what is important with muriatic acid? Okay, folic acid units. Okay, the main thing is about burning. The
I like the
you know,
flames coming out of the bum as well.
yeah, but you're the burning. Yeah, and then okay, some have a little bit of text, and then the illustration,
Mm.
burning hemorrhoids, and then you have the position of the body with the ulcer, and this
Ah.
is you see now this is a kind of drawing, and this is the
And then you have
patient
an
in a
actual
position.
patient there in that position. That is really cool. You would never forget the remedy after seeing that
No,
visual.
no, because this
That's
is the
great.
position. Yeah, they try to protect the sensitive area.
Yeah.
And you acid, all acids, you have the cracks, you see? And then you have the nitric one is nice. The idea of a nitric one is here. The
Nitric
pounds,
acid
the top, the hard nitric acid,
and
yeah.
cracks
The pound,
everywhere. Yeah.
yeah, cracks and these aspect of a puzzle. And in the same time, you see, here are some pictures.
Ah, some skinish.
Yeah, that's important. And the pictures are commented with a very, very short text. And in the same, I don't think there is a centimeter of any page that can be ignored. For example, if you ignore the running of nitric acid, of all nitrics, the hurry of nitrics, it is illustrated here. Yeah.
Mm,
The
mm.
cracks, the yellowness of face, of soles, of palms. Yeah.
I think the previous picture had even yellowness under the tongue by the looks of it.
Yes, here.
Great.
And,
Yeah.
and these
Okay.
are things, yeah, and these are places you have to look for.
Mm.
Otherwise, you don't see them. And phosphoric acid with a large belly with a spider vein. I hope it's nice. The spider veins in
Yes.
phosphoric acid.
Yes.
Okay,
Oh, I
and then
love the visuals. That is so cool.
yeah,
That's,
acid is now for the okay, and things are like that.
mm.
And for example, some less this is the some less known remedies, for example, I think this is useful. The remedy for these emaciation people
Mm.
who goes from one thing to another. You remember in Abraham, yeah? Kids with oozing gonfalitis, yes? Not so much, not so much. Okay, Abraham is much more complicated, but if you know that, it's not bad.
Mm.
Okay. And with acids, for example, who knows about boric acid? I have some cases of who knows about dark rings around the eyes, about the tongue, about the huge fatigue and diabetes mellitus.
Okay.
And fluoric acid, it was very fun to use. There is no centimeter without a signification. Even this line here, they speak about asymmetry of finger.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
interesting. Fingers
Yes,
and
yes.
toes as well, or just fingers?
Yeah, fingers and toes. And then you have this Gothic arch, the Gothic arch of the palate. You have the asymmetry of teeth. You have cryptorchidea. He was very nice. He put, instead of cryptorchidea, he put a link. You
He put
remember
a,
in Acidum, yeah. You have cryptorchidea, for example.
I don't know.
Cryptorchidea is the descending of testes.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, yeah. And they make a
Oh,
thing.
oh, I see. So he's put a little leaf there. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, yeah. And the how found out Floric Acidum about gaming.
Gaming, as in video game. Oh, right. Or like gambling.
Gambling and gaming in
Mm.
general, they
Okay.
are crazy about it.
Ah.
Yeah, they like that. Okay, and here are some pictures from asymmetry of fingers, crack implant of teeth, and yeah, you know,
Mm. You have to have a good stomach for some of these photos. Once you see them, you won't forget it, at least.
yeah, that was the scope. And for example, in Calcarea, I treat them together at the beginning, making the differential diagnosis afterwards. Calcarea arsenicosa, calcarea bromide.
I saw that with the acids as well. You had the acidums, and so there's like a basic overarching idea, and then you go into the individual acids, and you're doing that with the calcs as well. So the overarching idea, and then individualize them.
Yeah. And I think this book is there. As I remember, there is no word or no picture that should not be here. I'm not saying it's perfect, but it is something you learn, and it's an image about remedy. For
Mm,
example, with calcarea iodata, what is the image of?
mm,
And here you have some hints of calcarea or muriatica.
mm.
Okay. Anyway,
Wow, what a useful tool.
yeah, I think it's a useful. This is
Mm.
the yeah. And what do you know about that? And here from the beginning, it's uncovering the idea of anemia,
Mm.
the pain in the throat, the very frequent menstruation. And some of them are nice. Gelsemium, I like it.
That is brilliant. Wow. Thank you so much, George, for showing me that. When you were talking about the book, I was trying to imagine what it would look like, but it's really good to actually see what's in there. And I hope our listeners will jump onto Rumble and go and have a look and then hop onto your website and purchase your book. They could just get that at www.dr-jurg.com.
I
So
think I don't know exactly what is my site. It's with a
dr-jur,
flag. I think it's, yeah, it's a slang. Right.
yeah,
It's a slang.
dr-jurg.com.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes,
Amazing.
yes, yes.
Oh, thank you so much for your time today, George.
Okay.
I wonder, is there any final message that you want to leave our listeners with, or any other courses or anything else that you want to make sure that we cover today?
Okay. I would say for the homeopaths to see as many patients as possible. Life is the best teacher. The office is the best teacher. And for the patients, I made some conferences, especially for moms. And for the patients, yeah, instead of being the last instant medicine, homeopathy should be the first instance. Instead of giving so many chemicals, it's much better to have this very soft and natural and good therapy. Because that's a part of, I think homeopathy is a part of our naturality. Yeah, even if it use so minute dose.
Hmm. That's beautiful advice. It was so surreal to get to chat with you, like in real life, even though you're on the other side of the world. But after watching so many hours of your lectures, it was just such an honor to get to speak with you today. And thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with our audience. I know there's so many homeopaths that's really going to resonate with what you've shared today. And I hope they use these great clinical pearls that you've got in this book of yours to really hone their prescribing and their observational skills. And I hope they go and check out your courses. I see they are still up at Whole Health now, so people can still go on there and do your courses there. Like I said, the thing I really like about it is that there's so many video cases. You've got hours and hours of video cases there. So people can really learn from a master with so many years experience that has really honed the skill of observation. So thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you. Thank you, Jim.